Hey, this is IndigoMusic.com. I'm Rohit, and it's time for yet another edition of Founders Frequency. And this is where we talk about how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. And of course, by the end of it all makes sense and you reap the benefits. And joining me today on this very special episode is Ankur Pahwa. He is the managing director of Peer Capital. Ankur, welcome to Founders Frequency.
Thanks so much, Rohit. Pleasure being here.
Tell me, how did it begin and where have you reached right now?
I think while this is about founder frequency, as a background, I spent about 26 years in consulting from the late 90s till about the early 22,
Right.
and spent time between Anderson and EY. And I think consulting obviously has a certain very wide worldview to things. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity to get a bird's eye view of business building, what ticks, what doesn't, and how companies succeed, and more importantly, how companies fail. I've had the pleasure of being on the M&A side for a large part of that. Again, I had a good understanding of capital flows, and what capital does for you and does to you. In 2022, Rohit, me along with two friends and very close partners, Rohit, who was the co-founder of Cloud9 Hospitals, and Karthik, who was a MD at Chirate Ventures. We
Okay.
came together to set up, Peer Capital, which was really a culmination of our own experiences.
Okay.
My 2.5, decade journey, Rohit's, 15 plus year journey as an entrepreneur, and Karthik's, decade plus experience as an investor.
Right.
Idea really was that we found, strength in our differences.
Absolutely. And tell me more about PeerX. What is it all about? And tell me how it works.
I think PeerX is again our way of making sure that the experiences that the three of us have, the
Mm.
network that founders really need to be able to create success,
Yes.
is available to them in a structured manner,
Okay.
whereby they have access to experts, they have access to advisors, they have access to insights as and when they need it, right? Because there's not everything can be Googled.
Correct.
And I think the idea really was, how do we combine our experience? How do we combine the network that we have? And
Hmm.
how do we create really practical, opportunities and insights for founders to be able to find avenues so that they can themselves solve and succeed? And that's really what PeerX is all about. It's just a framework that uses the power of the network and the power of being a peer, and giving back to founders to be able to use the assets and the infrastructure that we have to build.
For someone who's listening in and someone who is, entering into their entrepreneurial journey and wondering what should I do for an investor to be even interested in taking a look at my product or my company or my service. What do you think there are, what are some of the things that you as an investor look in when you look at someone as a founder?
I think everyone who's starting up needs to realize not all businesses need investors. And I
Right.
think that's super critical.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone believes, I'm starting a business, I need an investor. And yes, you need an investor, you need money to build. But do you need an investor from a institutional venture capital point of view? Do you need friends and family? I think it's very important for founders to first get figure that out, because not all businesses are investable institutionally, right? Because all of us as funds, in whatever stage, whether we are early or someone's a later stage fund, have certain bases on which they invest. So there is a portfolio construction. There is a sort of a math that works for every fund. So firstly, not every business requires institutional capital. So you need to know where you fit, and that has to come from your aspiration of what you're trying to do itself.
Right.
Secondly, I think not all businesses are fundable.
Right, absolutely. And I think this is a question that you would probably ask founders who are seeking investment. But I would like to turn things around and I would like to ask you, where do you see peer capital in the near future?
Look, I think we started with simple, maybe personal purpose, maybe personal ambition of truly wanting to. We are committed to the name peers, right?
Yeah.
It's not a brand that we set up. And the hypothesis and the thought process for us, Rohit, was very clear. And I think it comes in many ways, from my co-founder Rohit as well, right? I think he was a founder, been a founder for so many years. Capital
Yeah.
wasn't easy,
Yeah.
right? How do you stay true to conviction? How do you build a business despite not having capital? Who do you turn to? Where do you find the help that's needed to finally figure out what you need to do, right? So I think for us, the purpose all along really has been to find a way in which we can use our differential skills to truly make an impact, to founders, to ecosystem, to our investors, goes without saying. But how do we just sort of continue to give more back? Because I think I think certainly what you put out, comes back. So I
Correct.
think the vision for Payer continues to be to impact positively the life of every founder that we interact with. Maybe we invest in them, and in most cases we don't, because the funnels obviously for investing are pretty tight in terms of what we finally invest in. As an example, in the 4 years that we've been around, we've probably seen 4,000, 5,000 deals. We've invested in 15 companies.
Absolutely. And I always believe this and I say this is the right time in India to be a founder and an investor. So I think that with the current, the whole change that's happening throughout the ecosystem. But Ankur, thank you so much for sharing on founders frequency, because we always take a look at what the founder's journey is, but we also need to know the perspective or, the vision of an investor as well. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful and blessed year ahead.
Thanks so much, Rohit. Pleasure being here. Thanks so much again.